showing here today.
Absolutely. And I mean, we knew coming into it, just looking at the rosters here, that Catface was going to be one of the stronger rosters.
Yeah.
We knew it here. These are experienced players. They've got their achievements listed out here. There's some 2600s. There's some +2s, a couple 2700s. And of course, say nothing for Leotos here,
right.
who is, a superstar bona fide. But yeah, you also got to show up and play here. And they will certainly not feel good about the way that it ended here, but every game was within their reach. And
yes.
That, I think, means a lot, especially when it is a new game, when you're trying to figure it out. They didn't feel like they needed to change their comp up a lot. And more than anything, we could hear them getting hype here for themselves here. They are drinking their own Kool-Aid with a performance like that. I can't blame them.
Or their own Tacticooler. What are we going to call the actual drink that comes out of the Tacticooler? There has to be a name for it.
Go-Go
Other
juice.
than soda. I guess soda,
Go-Go juice.
But like we have to come up with a better name than soda, right? Surely there's a better name. Got to be a better one. We'll workshop it. There has to be something.
Yeah, well, I can't come up. Yeah.
I can't come up with it right now on the spot. That's not happening. But of course, plenty more. That Tacticooler probably isn't going to go anywhere, right?
No, I would wager not. I mean, everyone has talked to you about Tacticooler at this point. We aren't going to continue to talk your ears off about it as well. It is meta-defining in the sense that the game fundamentally changes when Tacticooler is on the field. Now, that is not debatable. You can say, oh, it's the strongest, oh, it's broken, oh, it's fine. It fundamentally changes the game state. That, again, is not debatable here because of what it means for every trade that happens after that, even if it didn't buff up the Inklings. The fact that it changes what trades do and what it changes how defense is and how you can simply go in for a dive, get a trade, come back, and now not only do you come back faster, you come back with more special than your opponent. It changes what attacks look like here. And until, maybe there's a weapon at some point that is able to kind of shred through part of that. Maybe they make changes here. Of course, anything is on the table here. It's day one.
It's day one.
But
we've got like 2 to 5 years ahead of us. 2 years of confirmed updates.
2 years of confirmed updates.
But,
seasons. So,
seasons.
Yep, 3 months is what we're expecting it to be right now. But it is so exciting. We really you obviously don't get the opportunity to do very often, but to see a game, especially when so much study and so much research went into Splatoon 2, we're in a different spot now than we were going from Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2. There's been a ton of research done. We have a wealth of data to look at, so many hours spent reviewing those. So now we can kind of compare and contrast as we go into Splatoon 3, and we get to do it all over again, but we're just a touch smarter this time.
Maybe more than a touch.
Just a touch.
I mean,
I'll only speak for myself.
Well, you didn't play much of Splatoon 1 competitively.
No, I did.
Did?
I only competed in Splatoon 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you could. I keep forgetting just how long you've been around.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, it's weird because I competed I was a competitor in Splatoon 1 and a commentator in 2. So it's like this weird dichotomy of opinions I have. So.
Oh, well. Anyway, of course, we are going to be getting into the finals match, hopefully, here in just a little bit. Before we do, NineWholeGrains, big man, vibing over here. Say the line, Nine.
Hey.
Hey. There we go. Should be a good one here. Of course, the interesting thing, though, about that last match that, I was hyping up. I was hoping that we'd see the Reflux. I was hoping we'd see the Splatana Stamper.
Yeah.
Neither of those came out. What's up with that?
Well,
We got Double Blaster instead, which, admittedly, Double Blaster, kind of cool.
I mean, actually,
you wouldn't see that in Splatoon 2.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and pivot here because the Blaster, another weapon, we talked a lot about Charger and how the absence of ink armor strengthens it artificially. The same has happened here with Blasters. Blasters, so many people have said, I can finally play my Blasters again. And certainly if you watched Enter the Splatlands, you saw that Biscuit kind of just ran train over everybody with it. Now, Biscuit simply doesn't miss. So that's part of the reason why it works so well. But even before that, when we were scrimming, everybody was remarking about how strong that weapon felt. Big Bubbler, a great match for it here, and we got to see the Rapid Pro there. But again, we said in Game 1, there's no chip from Catface. There wasn't any, and that game almost got away from them because they were getting dove on by 3 or 4 people at a time.
Yeah.
Really, they needed Fiction to start to get a little heavy-handed after they had retreated too far back in order to get that. I'm not at all surprised to see them go to the chip damage later on, and I think that that's going to be a very valid option, especially as more kits come out. We haven't seen a lot of Range Blaster. I think that kit is very, very good. And frankly, you were talking about Tri-Strike weapons here. The Rapid Blaster, one of the few weapons that has that as well, and I think it fits it a little bit better than it does the Slosher.
Yeah, certainly. I think anytime that you have any little more of that range, right, anytime you're able to feel more comfortable in terms of staying back, able to throw those things. I mean, that's the weird thing about Tri-Strike. It's a little bit more niche to use. It doesn't work like you think it does. You can't just go into squid form the second that you pop that thing. You can't swim with it, which is something that, I certainly am not used to, right? I was trying to pick up this weapon. I was like, this seems like it would be good, and that it's a little bit clunkier to use. But I imagine that, of course, as that weapon starts to develop, as folks start investing a little bit more time into it, I imagine that it'll have a significant chunk of impact. It'll just need to be placed particularly well, as opposed to just like the tentacles, which you fire off whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you'll have to aim it well, and I think more than anything, it needs a target to go at. It does not... The area of effect of those is not quite as high as we may have initially suspected.
Yeah.
And with the lack of mobility on top of that, it means that you're not going to be able to pursue whatever it is if it moves from the first time you throw it. So it's great if there's already a skirmish going up on an Inkblot Art Academy plat, for instance. But even with that, it's not so easy to aim either. That's the part that I was most stunned by, is the physics and like the geometry of how those, I guess, flares, for lack of a better term, go and land. It was not quite what I was initially expecting. It's not quite a bomb. It's almost like a torpedo, but like it also lands. It's so odd.
There's a lot of things that are like that in this game, right? They don't quite work exactly the way you think they would. Another example, the ink vac shot, right? So much straighter, so much more narrow and lower to the ground that I think a lot of people might be anticipating, and it's just that much more difficult to actually find that arc, to actually find quite how that comes out. A lot of people have been talking about how jank the Trizuka hitbox is, right? Because it's got these 3 rotating blobs. They just kind of have their own little impact crater, which is a little bit unique, is something we're not used to, right? And again, in a day 1 tournament, you're not going to see these players figure all this stuff out, right?
I mean, why would you have to figure it out when you have... I mean, when you have a tournament like this, and again, it's a time to experiment and try out, why would you worry about figuring things out? You say, let's win the tournament, and then we'll experiment afterwards. And that's why I'm so glad that we got to have this event, even though, everybody knew kind of going into this that we weren't going to have all the weapons unlocked, that we weren't going to have a great understanding of the game, but you only get to do this once.
Yep.
Forever. We'll never get to have an experience like this again.
And I hope you all are enjoying that experience, both whether you're here in Sandusky joining us live in the room, whether you're in your hotel room watching this with friends, I don't know, some people tend to do that, or of course wherever you are in the world joining us. Maybe you're watching it back the VOD because you want to know how things did, or you're asleep right now in Europe. We realize we went a little late here, but of course it should be an interesting one. I think it'll be incredibly interesting to come back to these sets.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll be interesting to come back to the pack sets. It'll be interesting to come back to these sets once we get like a year into this, 2 years into this, just to come back, see what these players were trying, and see like, oh, we were playing Splatoon 2 there, weren't we?
Yeah, certainly were. Well, the fun thing is there's nothing like there was at the start of Splatoon 2 where you could very much instantly realize, all right, something about this is egregious here. This whole tri-slosher ink armor business,
no.
I don't know about this. That stuff got hit instantly, and
and it needed it.
Yeah, and I think that there will probably be things that get hit fairly quickly in this, but I don't think any of them need it to the same degree. So that's why I think it's a little more interesting this time around is we're going to look back and say, we were sure playing Splatoon 3 there, but it won't be man, we were playing those tri-sloshers back then. At least now we can look back and say we had the right idea. A lot of things worked at the time. We just hadn't refined it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I hate to keep saying it. I hate to keep harping the point. You're not going to get a refined gameplay in 22 hours. So if you came here expecting this to be like best of the best and, everything's going to just work out and everything's going to be super fancy and everyone's going to get these montage-worthy Trizuka, compilations here. Not going to happen. But, of course, we hope you're showing you some solid fundamentals of the game nonetheless. We'll see what else. Of course, as we mentioned, Folks are still trying to figure out how to get into the lobbies here. Sometimes these transitions do take long. So we appreciate you all sticking with us because it has been a long day for all of us here in Sandusky. I got roped into doing probably a little bit too much TOing this.
See, I have very little pity for you, Kbot, because we all know.
I know.
You didn't get roped into anything. You threw yourself into the middle of the circus, my friend.
Okay, come on. I just want to help the event run smoother.
Was that voice crack intentional, or was that...
Kind of. I suppose it was kind of intentional.
It was very good for the dramatic effect. But let's talk about these teams here. Let's talk about Grand Finals. Best of 7. We're going to be starting off on Splat zones on Hammerhead Bridge. So, after this, it's going to go with the same counter pick system, rather, that we saw before. Probably going to see some similar maps to what we saw before.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You think these teams are going to play Comfort 9? You think they're going to go back to Mako? You think they're going to go back to Inkling?
Listen, Hagglefish Market is the best map in this game, and you can't convince me otherwise. But
I don't entirely disagree.
I think it's a very good map.
I think it's a very good map, but I want to see more teams play it. Come on. Eddie, cheers the crowd for Hagglefish. Come on, new maps, new maps, new maps. I want to see more stuff happen here. And again, there's just so much that we don't know. There's so much that we don't know about how these maps work. There's so much that we don't know that we'll just have to go back and try to figure out. And we've got plenty of time, of course, to do it. This will be the game we're on for the foreseeable future here with all of its quirks.
Teams slowly starting to get ready here. Hammerhead Bridge, one that, you know, it's so intriguing watching the way that this map plays through all the modes, because I do think it's one where I think when it's on Rainmaker and Tower Control, the narrow map makes it, I think, very painful to play. When it's on Clam Blitz and Splat Zones, I think that makes it very intriguing in the sense that, again, it's not quite as narrow as Undertow Spillway is, but you do still have to, at some point, get control of the sides and work your way in. So I haven't really seen a lot of gameplay on this particular map and mode.
I mean, nobody has.
Nobody has, but nobody has. But
this wasn't in the Splatfest World Premiere. This wasn't at PAX. This wasn't, like, I don't think we've seen this, like, at all, just in trailers.
Maybe.
Maybe? I don't know.
We've seen enough to know generally the size of the map and how it goes about it. So everybody, we have grand finals of your first open entry Splatoon 3 tournament of all time. Come on, you only get one of these. Let's go!
Let's get the show on here. Now connecting the continents. As this Hammerhead Bridge has been fully constructed, we are just starting our construction of this Splatoon 3 meta. And you're starting to see these weapons come out, of course, very similar composition to what we saw earlier from Test 1. Leotos on the Squiffer, Train on the Dualies.
Moving in, we saw the last time these dualies came out, the Crab a big part of it. Instead, Ant's immediately going to go ahead and take care of those dualies right as we were talking about it here. And look at this, the members of Catface pushed back really far. That's actually a really, really big pick there because that Tactical was in a great spot. Garrett wisely moving up, great coverage, and I think went down on the backside of the Tactical, or a strange engagement there. And now Leotos moving up, Seth going to pay the price, and a great counter punch.
Absolutely great here as Catface is going to start moving forward. You're starting to see them as well take some control of this right side here, forcing their opponents one way or the other. And if they drop there, it's going to be incredibly dangerous for them to do those. Now Leoto is able to find one, but is going to be met with Ant's Trizuka. Now we're going to start to see Test 1 work together, move forward. Inkfact comes out, trying to lock down some of these members of Crabface, but there's the Crab Tank. You notice it's just staying alive, trying to stall out for a little while longer. As Catface actually getting this down already at the 50-point mark. Now they're able to find one here onto Ant. We're going to see trades on top of the zone, and it looks like the push is going to end here. But that was honestly quite well done to hold on to it for that long.
Yeah, and you know, they actually might have the respawn advantage here. Look at this. They're still back in those Killer Whale 5.1. As you noted, Kbot not going to do a ton with regards to the zone here. Now the sniper needs to find a shot here. Instead, it's going to opt to use the ink vac. They again have opted to push from this left side. Have the members of Catface wisened up to it. Garrett sitting all the way over on that side. Not opting to move in. They are waiting. They are willing to give up this zone, Kbot, if it means getting a big hit on the side. Instead, Train maybe not able to get it, but once again, the ink vac going to do just enough to save the life. And now the Crab going to come back in as well. Ant going to stick it up to fight it out, and actually is able to get somebody, as it is Madness on the board.
Trying to find just a little bit more damage here from that Crab Tank, but it's just not going to be enough this time around. Finally, Test 1 potentially has an opportunity to start moving forward. Now, going to be able to catch one out here with that Splat Wall. and has been doing incredibly so far. And look at how much range this squeezer has. We were talking about a little bit earlier just how much pressure it's able to put out on the map. Now we're starting to get dangerously close here in order for this lead to be flipping back. You see the tactical are down on that far side. These members are going to start rotating around and they're starting to team up as they come on in. They're not going to take it fast enough. test1's going to be able to take control of the lead here and might be able to find the knockout as soon as Catface starts moving forward, but Garrett has to go down. Citrus going down here as well. Leotos and Train the only two up, but that's going to be the wipeout. Seth and another player there able to find those trades, and test1 is going to take Grants.
Man is so good at the video game. It's unbelievable. Like, I wish that we could have been fully overheaded there to see how much pressure was on that side of the map. Garrett had moved over. There was a crab tank shooting over there, and Leotos as well had moved over to fire at that side. And, you know, I think that the one takeaway there from that match is we will be able to look back on this and say, this is how teams pushed in on day one. Yeah. Both times that test1 moved in, they did it from the left side. They put two specials over there, and then they went in and they scrambled and they fought. The first time wasn't enough, but the second time they were able to get a trade here and sneak the players that they wanted to in the positions they needed to, force the opponent back. And I think that may be the way that Splat Zones goes, at least for the foreseeable future in Splatoon 3 as we kind of start figuring some of this out. It's the second wave after the initial couple of players go down and how good your follow-up is after the Slayers go in. The skirmisher role going to be so important as this goes on.
And the other thing that I want to comment on here as well is we've seen a lot of pushes happen that have been rather slow in nature, right? And like I think it's because of that respawn thing, right? These teams are coming back in, they're slowly taking turf away. They might go one or two members down, but that push is kind of slow, you know, slowly rolling forward, slowly able to chip away at things here. Now, hey, we get Hagglefish. Tower control this time around, another new map coming into the game here. So this should be a little bit of an exciting one. Have we actually seen like a tower control match played here?
Yes, we have.
Maybe.
We've seen it played here, and it's. I think it was in the map list here, so I know we played it in tools. But the reason that I think this one plays so well is it has everything that you need a tower control map to do, which is that the first few points that you get to start your push are going to be relatively uncontested. It's one of the few Splatoon 3 maps where you do have a little room to sit from relative safely and build up your specials. There's a part where it goes and the tower itself stops right next to a raised area where the defender can come and attack. So that's a natural checkpoint that you'll have to get through, even if the actual checkpoint wasn't there. And then if you get to that final spot, it's an open area where you can fight around the tower, and it just does everything so well in a tower control fashion.
Yeah, it should be a lot of exciting here to see, especially with those different phases that come in, right? All about trying to find exactly those vantage points, trying to find these things on this, new map, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be something that none of these players have really spent a lot of time playing on, right? And so being able to see them come around and how they're able to take care of business here is going to certainly be interesting. We'll see if Catface can try to tie this one up here with a few of their other weapons at their disposal. We are hopping into this one here. And again, very similar compositions coming out here. These players kind of going a little bit more for comfort, especially with Leotos not pulling out some of those other weapon classes.
Yep, and Citrus moving back over to the Slosher Machine as well. We've talked a lot about this weapon. You know what's strong and you know why it's strong. But one other thing in that last game that was important to note, one of the reasons Ant's wall is so strong, not a lot of lethal bombs, made it that much more difficult to move them.
Yeah, that much more difficult to move them here. And now we're starting to see this push come together. Now you see that flank come around. 2-9 situation now for test1. And it might be the window of opportunity here for Catface to move forward, especially with that big bubbler on the tower. Able to get a few points on the board here and now starting to drop down. Might be catching some of these members off guard and starting to build up that momentum.
They had a really, really good look there. I believe it was actually another Trizuka shot from Ant that shut that down. Now Garrett has to rotate back out, and where are you going to put that tactical? Are you going to opt to fight, or are you going to drop it down here, going way, way back to make sure that the team can use it as an offensive resource, which I think is going to prove to be the right call. It's going to be a lot of fighting is going to have to go through, but all the while, two people did go down in the center here, and Jan getting a shot, but Leotos getting another shot as well. They're going to have to focus so hard on that side, and that's actually going to open up a little room for the other members of Catface to move in. Garrett rushing forward, needs to be careful not to run against two. A trade here would be huge. Gets another shot off. They throw more out And amazingly, just because they turned around to focus so much on Leotos, that defense came through. Garrett pushed back out. It's another big bubbler. And now the push coming through for Catface.
Look at how much purple ink that's already built up here. This checkpoint might be pretty easy to find. Ant, though, coming up from behind here and now have to be careful as their attention has been diverted, but looks like able to take care of it, and only Leotos going down. Enough players around the tower as Garrett's able to ride that one forward. 2-down situation now for test1. And Catface is continuing to push this forward. The bombs are still coming out to try to keep these members of the yellow team at bay, and they're still finding their opportunities here. Tactical on top of the tower, able to go to a handful of members. Garrett trying to come up from behind. Now Seth might have an opportunity to collapse around, and there it is. There's finally the wipeout here. It's going to hold at the 20-point mark.
Yeah, well done there to close that down as quickly as they could. They're going to be rewarded with a huge chunk of mid and as many specials as they would like. I can't believe Ant almost got another pick there on that side, but now how will they work on the defensive side? This is going to be a very early try Zuka used to try to snipe some of the members out. Again, Leoto's going to work on that side. They're giving up a lot of room, but look at this. Ant going to move up and try to attack on that side. I think that's going to be a little separated. It's certainly a weapon that can do well on its own. Specials going around now. Train is flanking too. Everybody attacking areas that the tower is not. Another fight to go down. Once again, absolute madness and pandemonium. Chaos, you might even say.
Chaos indeed. Hagglefish, I think, is going to be really known for these flank angles, right? We're seeing that happen so much here, where there's going to be that many more opportunities to be creative and take your opponent from multiple different angles. It hasn't quite worked out for these teams as of yet, but we'll see what else can they come up with here. You see Seth already on that side, trying to take care of some business, and now test1 is starting to divert their resources over there. They're trying to find a way back in here, but at the moment, they're trying to charge up their specials as well, trying to find their way back in, and now with the tactical online, they might go for the push here. But again, a lot of those defensive resources are also coming on.
Yeah, very well used at the right time here. This tactical coming out a little bit later means that they should at least have a little bit of time advantage. Once again, Train has moved around here, and look at that, every inch of that new blast radius coming out from Train here. Now back behind Ant, this would be a huge pick. Ant is able to get it here, and now the Trizuka as well. Can we get 3? We will not, and instead it's going to be a push coming the other way. Garrett sitting here on tower, probably going to opt to move back a little bit. No need to push it too hard. All the other members will get to jump in as a result, but Kbot, it's again these extended fights in mid. These are the only ways that these pushes have started thus far.
Yeah, they really have. It's been so long. None of these teams can actually find the wipeout. None of these teams can actually find the special advantage. None of these teams can actually get the ball rolling here. And now with a minute left to go, it's test1 hopping on the tower, trying to break even this first checkpoint. But there's just so much pressure that's coming out of Catface from the defensive side. Now another member going down. That's Ant on the front lines. 3 are going to go down here. That Inkback is only the last one up, and Garrett's just trying to rush it down, able to take care of business there. And now there's another window of opportunity for Catface to continue taking this push forward, continue getting the tower to the other side of the map, and make it that much more difficult of an opportunity for test1 to come back in this game.
The bravery that Garrett had not only to get to, but immediately rush forward, sensing that there was blood in the water here. Citrus is going to go down. Garrett continues to ride. The bubbler is actually going to do a good enough job to survive for a little longer now. Leotos in the perfect position to shoot that. Yes, the shot is going to come through here, but Train going to get back on the tower. They're going to keep it there. That's the checkpoint gone. Will they hold it? And how's about it? A counter hit from Catface after a dominant game number 1, and I can feel their pop-off, Kbot.
They are feeling themselves right now, and equalizing the set in that kind of a way, especially after what your opponents did to you in game 1, responding in incredibly similar fashion there, knocking things out, and they just didn't give test1 any room to breathe.
Yeah, kind of wild, again, how hot and cold the members of Catface were in that game, because we said that there were just big extended fights in mid that eventually when one team got maybe the one person from the other team gone that they needed to, they started to move forward. And that decisiveness, we've always talked about it. That's one of the big buzzwords in Splatoon. But I think it's going to be even more important, and you're going to need to take risks in order to figure out what the actual good plays are. Because, again, in that final push that was the knockout, they were in pretty decent control before that too, but it was a fight in mid where 2 people went down and Garrett got both of them. Garrett immediately rushed after the 3rd one. The 4th one was stuck in special at the time, but a lot of people, I think, there would simply opt to paint, build the tax cooler, and wait. But there's so much more that you can get. And once that happened, once the blood was in the water, you knew if they didn't knock it out, they were at least going to get through that checkpoint and probably find a way to defend.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And their defenses looked incredibly strong too, right? Just being able to set back, having enough for long-range resources, being able to take care of business, and then that big bubbler, all of a sudden, there's another angle you can approach from. There's another angle, there's actually two angles in some cases that are covered because Leotos can either go one way or the other, right? So all of a sudden, don't really have anywhere to go. Even with that big bubbler, you would expect it maybe to be pushed a little bit far forward, but actually it was doing a great job at how much area it was able to control in that kind of back concerted area that we were seeing towards the end of that game.
Yeah, and Leotos, we talked a lot about Ant in that first game, so I got to throw it back to the star player here for Catface. Defending in this game is so difficult because the sight lines on almost all of the Splatoon 3 maps are massive. You can see wherever somebody goes, you can call it out immediately. But the Squiffer, when piloted by someone as skilled as Leotos, is a weapon where you can know where they're at, but that doesn't necessarily help you. And just on that left side, if they're coming out of spawn, the right side, you saw that was where Leotos was sitting up and just simply popping up with different pot shots. And even Ant on the Squiffer is not going to be able to outrange that weapon. And even if you were able to, I mean, one shot versus three, the one wins every time. So I think immediately identifying that that was where that weapon was going to be the most effective on the defense is huge. To be able to figure that out that quickly against a team of this caliber.
Yeah, absolutely. In that position, holding true was right. But hey, you were talking a little bit about trying to take risks, right? Isn't that what thrives in chaos and anarchy? Taking risks. That is exactly what these teams are trying to do. And now we're heading to a mode that we haven't seen so far in this bracket. We're going to Rainmaker on Eeltail Alley, trying to build up that momentum, trying to get this Rainmaker running down towards that enemy spawn.
And Eeltail, I think, is when they were designing how they wanted Rainmaker to play in this new game. I think Eeltail was maybe the map where they decided this is why we wanted to do it. Because, again, for those of you, if you don't know, when you start with the Rainmaker, you have to dunk it on either a left pedestal or a right pedestal, just depending. Maybe it's not all the way left, not all the way right. You get the idea. There are two ways that you can go. Typically, in Rainmaker, there are two paths that you can push. One that is usually a little bit riskier but a little shorter, and one that ideally is longer but maybe a little bit more protected. I think this map does a great job of illustrating that, and I think that that's why, at least at the start here, you're going to see these teams try to play very respectful to their opponents until that first checkpoint is taken.
But we'll see what comes out here. Still 52 gals getting picked up, and there it is, the Splatana Wiper coming out of Leotos.
I mean, this weapon, again, you can see a little ink res on the shoes there, a little swim speed. This is a weapon that is trying to pester. It is trying to make the opponent's lives difficult. If you focus too hard on it, the opposing team will collapse on it. And you can see right now, Leotos waiting for the opportunity to move up. They've given up a lot of ground here. One already going down here. Train moving up. Another one goes down. The pop-offs are coming out here. The Tacticooler is out. Here they go. That's going to be the first checkpoint without any real resistance.
Yeah, that really fell quite quickly here, especially with that Tacticooler buff coming out that can get picked up by the Rainmaker. They're going to actually be able to maintain this pop. Ant's the only one around, but oh my goodness, what was that? 3 with 1 shot? That's the wipeout.
Kbot, you just said that we weren't going to see triples with that. You just promised the crowd we wouldn't see it. How's about it?
Incredible stuff, and now potentially an opportunity for test1 to start pushing this fish. It's going to come out here. They're going to try to take it right along this top path, trying to find that instantaneous dunk coming out, but already to go down, Bua Bomb to boot here as well. And that's actually going to be a pretty strong hold here. No one else from test1 around.
I mean, that is one of the only weapons in the game that can do that exact thing right there. One swing was all it took for Leotos to get both of them. So, again, one of the fun things about Eeltail Alley, these narrow pathways, Kbot, it means that plays like that, I mean, we just saw it twice in 2 pushes. You're going to have to stick next to your Rainmaker carrier because of the narrow avenues.
Leotos there going down on the front lines, and so even though Catface is going to find the pop, it looks like test1's going to take a decent control of mid, especially with the Tacticooler already out, and now they've got another one at their disposal as well. Bua Bomb, though, coming out, going to catch out Ant and that NZAP player there as well, and so this push isn't going to happen. Now might go the other direction, but now, again, Scrappy fights, able to find these trades, able to try to stall things out. Set sitting there with the Tacticooler buff is going to take it down. Now Leotos storing forward here, doesn't have to clear past this checkpoint, and it's still 2 down for test1. They're going to be able to find a few more points on the board, but there it is, Ant coming out with a long-range Splat.
This is big here. Where's the attack going to come from? You see the big bubbler on the left side of the screen there. Train is going to opt to move back and try to assist with the push here. And this is an interesting play here. I thought there might have been an avenue to move up on that right side and crash the position, but they did see that the Charger was there, wisely laying off of it.
Careful.
What will the follow-up be? Garrett's going to grab it and
grabbing it. Now in undercover here,
Yep.
storming forward, able to get it down to 35. It's going to be in a 3-9 situation for Catface, and now only a 1 versus 1 on the map. They're probably going to try to let this finish. Actually, wait a minute. No, Leonos moving forward. A jump's going to be able to come in. Now popping his Ultra CF, looking to try to come on in here. Just trying to maintain this barrier. Is able to find the pop. Now going to throw it. Is going to get sucked up by the Inkvac torpedo coming out here. But that Inkvac is doing an excellent job of just limiting the amount of resources and limiting the amount of things that can actually splat test 1. They're looking to try to let this Rainmaker reset. It looks like they're just going to be able to do that. They are going to be able to hold on there in a precarious situation.
Yeah, but look at this. Citrus and Train are still up there. Keep an eye on the top of the screen here. They're going to have some more specials here as well. If this blaster is able to get up in position and put that big bubbler out, it's going to be difficult. Watch out there. You are in range of the blaster here. They're just going to try to wait, and Leotos got another from that position. Will Leotos be able to find another? Train's going to move up as well, and I think there was just enough natural cover able to survive. Here comes the push. You can hear the pop-off and the dunk!
So much was able to follow up. Time and time again, you saw these specials start to get staggered. You saw them start to push their opponents back. You saw the specials start to paint the path for the Rainmaker itself to move forward and get the job done. An excellent job by Catface to move ahead in this set.
And the survivability of that Splatana wiper, sitting below the lip and simply aiming up 60, 60, 60, 60, moving around, and then when all the chaos, the bombs going off of Tactical, which does create an explosion radius, mind you, for Leotos to be able to survive that long, to allow Train to move up there, it was only a matter of time at that point before they had to take a dive to try to stop it. That's always the worst position to be in the game. And how about Leotos using the Ultra Stamp simply to keep it there? You know, it's really easy to hit the target when the target's, you know,
pretty big. Pretty big there, you know. We've often talked about the Ultra Stamp just not being that impactful, right? In terms of just what it's able to do. In fact, kind of saw some inadvertent nerfs maybe transitioning titles between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, but there actually was a critical piece. I think a lot of the specials there were worth noting, especially that Inkvac on the defensive side was able to just lock things down for a solid bit there, and even though it ultimately didn't end up with them winning the game, for like a few seconds things were just completely stalled.
Yeah, it was completely stalled, and on top of that, it forced, again, they had rotated around to try an attack from the graded area there, Leotos did, but all the Inkvac has to do there is back up and simply turn. It doesn't have the fastest turn, but it's enough because, I mean, the cone on that thing is pretty massive, but again, that's why the survivability of the skirmishers in this game is going to be so important. Because we don't have ink armor anymore, you can't rely on your traditional Slayer-type weapons to have the survivability that they had. And I think that if you play a skirmisher weapon that has little survivability, like the dualies, like this Splatana, and how players will start to slowly alternate the way that they play from what it looked like in Splatoon 1, it's going to become that much more important. We, of course, know what Tacticooler does with all that too, but you know, Citrus on the end there too, throwing that Booyah Bomb, it was the icing on the cake, but again, it's so easy as a sloshing machine to go up and try to attack. You know, the opponents are dropping down. Maybe I can get it, but nope, there's a bigger fish to catch.
I'm so excited to see more matches on Rainmaker ELTL, but now we're going to Tower Control Museum di Alfonsino, another returning map from Splatoon 1, a fan favorite back from that game, and we're seeing Leotos back to the Swiffer. Come on. Could have done it for us 2 games in a row, but here we go all the same.
Double big bubbler here. It's gonna, I think, we saw what it looked like the last time Tower Control came up, and it's certainly powerful here. This should be the opportunity, though, for Test 1's comp to really work out. You see that Ant immediately pulled up. Look at that. Get them together and get them both in one shot. Now, this poor 5.1 doesn't really have anything to shoot at here, but now Ant in a great position. Yeah, I'm going to outrange you there all day. How's about this? 1, 2. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to find anything. Certainly a lot of pressure. It's allowed the other members to move up, and right now, Catface Kbot on the back foot.
Look at how much control and how much blue ink is out in this spinner. It's just going to continue moving on forward here, and now with the Inkvac as well, there is just so much at the disposal of Test 1 as they move forward. Might be starting to get aggressed upon here a little bit, as it looks like they've been able to build up enough area, and now that NZAP is going to fall. You're going to see Catface come back here, but already 2 checkpoints down for Test 1 and a fantastic opener. We're only a minute into the game.
Yep, and look at this, Ant trying to get a little more. Instead, they have to rotate all the way over here. All of this off of really just one engagement in mid to start it off, but it does stand to note because that takes you so far away from the middle of the map. The other team should be able to do the same. Again, it's so difficult to get into that spot and defend. A great tactical placement if they don't get bombed. And look at this, now the attack's coming through. Got to be careful, out of ink, needs to rotate back to attack. Watch the points, Kbot.
Watch the points here. That, oh my goodness, another blaster collateral comes in here, able to take care of business with enough extra chip damage. And this second checkpoint might be able to be cleared by Catface. They're going to get pretty close here. Will they be able to find the lead? It looks like they will be able to, with all these members pushed forward. And now the big bubbler taking so much more space, providing so much more of an opportunity here for Catface to move forward. But the killer whale going to be that counter, most notably to that big bubbler, forcing those members out. And now 2-9 situation for Catface. They get it down to the 15-point mark in a fantastic play, but test1 still has an opportunity.
And again, the avenues to attack on this map takes you so long to get into a relevant defendable position. We're going to see big pushes come out back and forth just because of that. It takes too long to get over, and your opponent too many avenues to set themselves up to shark.
There it is. You were talking about these bombs right against that tactical. Are able to catch one of these members off guard, but they'll be able to jump right on back into the fray almost instantaneously. We'll see Catface start to build up some of their specials, start to move on forward. You see the screams from them, 2-9 situation now, and it might provide another opportunity for them to push forward. Garrett gonna hop on this tower, or might be trying to delay it for just a little while longer. Now, Leoto's starting to move forward here, almost up to that big bubbler, but has to be careful that they're not getting caught out by these members of test1, who are now taking back control of mid. Ant on the back lines here with that Trizuka here as well. Still not able to find much of anything. And these, again, trades are just happening back and forth.
Yeah, this has been a scrum over mid this entire time here. Now the wall advantage will finally allow the members of test1 to push back in. Again, we're going to see a couple jumps out, maybe a little bit incorrect of a jump there. Garrett going to get out of the way as well. They will completely cede mid. Now Leotos is in a great spot to work it out. Nyan immediately starts firing over that direction, and immediately the frontliner is going to get taken out here. It's only going to take 1 or 2 specials to defuse this, and right now it does seem as though just a little bit too exposed on their attack, and that just might be part of how this map plays.
Yeah, I mean, watch that control of that spinner area. I think it's going to be very telling for which team is able to come out on top. If you can't dislodge your opponents from taking their own area, right, from holding that flat kind of an area, it's going to be very difficult to come on back here. But actually, we're going to see Garrett come up with 2 for Catface. They might have another opportunity to try to go for a knockout here.
Yep, they've got the Booyah Bomb here. They've got players tacticooler it up here. So how are they going to opt to do this? Are they going to try to dive and jump back in? Or are they going to play this the old-fashioned way? Let's see. They catch one up there. That's a direct, but they aren't able to get up in the sky. And is going to be able to take them out. That's big because that Booyah Bomb not going to be a resource. Garrett going to dive at them. That's the tacticooler gone, and a huge, potentially game-saving shot. That one certainly was if the first one wasn't.
But now, 50 seconds left to go, and test1 needs to find another push like we saw them have in the earlier stages of this game. They don't have a lot online for them and a lot going for them other than this mid control. They're going to have to find these specials, and they're going to have to make sure they catch out Catface before they're able to get into their kind of positions to be able to defend this. And already, we're starting to see another one go down. That's Ant going down here. Has been as impactful in the last few games, but with that player going down here as well, it looks like there might be a little bit of control of mid. Ink back here coming out. Chaos continuing to ensue as the Ink Bath continues to fall over mid. But now, it looks like test1 has the opportunity, and we're seeing Nyan hop on this tower.
Oh, this is big. Look, they've got all the defenders pushed together here. Garrett's going to take a dive there just to try to separate the attackers. And keep an eye. Where's Leotos going to go? Where's the blaster going to go? That's the blaster out of the way. They have the tacticooler, so they're going to be able to jump back in. These points are going to start to go very quick. Garrett looking at the top. They've identified where that is thanks to the killer whale. They're attacking here. They were able to get another ink vac. Someone's going to have to dive on this tower. Garrett tries to make it, and it's a flip.
They're able to find the lead again. That ink vac just standing true for the few final seconds there. When you've got all 3 members of that team approaching from that high side, keeping that ink vac there is a perfect protection for your teammates that are riding that tower forward. Even if you don't have the tacticooler around, even if you don't have some of these other things, this thing can be incredibly useful from a utility perspective.
And I think the members of Catface were maybe a little bit too eager to try to stop that push before it started. You wanted to see, they wanted to bait the specials out early. They wanted to get that ink vac out from Nyan before that push started so they wouldn't have to worry about it when they took the tower. But I think in the process of doing so, they just put too many people attacking, and because not all of them got the Tacticooler buff, it meant that they weren't going to have the specials to push back in. Now, given when you have double Big Bubbler, it's not like you're going to be able to really attack it, but they also used their Booyah Bomb really early in that as well. And again, I think that was their game. I think that they recognized it was their game, and sometimes it can cause you to do things that you look back and immediately say, yeah, why did I do that?
You know, these things happen.
Yeah.
22 hours in, right?
And it's also why we play the game.
Exactly.
Because if everyone did the right thing that they know is the right thing all the time, this would
boring.
be very boring.
Be the definition of what? Order winning the Splatfest? Ooh, imagine that. Imagine that, I say, is
You'll get what's coming to you, don't worry.
2 people that were repping Team Order. Anyway, of course, seems like actually these teams are taking a moment to decide on their counter picks at this point, but actually taking care of a lot of their earlier picks or a lot of their earlier favorites, and now in best of 7 territory where it's 2 games apiece, things are heating up now as it's the first of 2 more wins will take the series.
Yep, I'm glad that we got a best of 7 here, and I'm glad that, again, we've got a great set here between our top 2 teams. And, you know, both of these games, or I guess certainly both of these last couple of games have been big flips. And the way that I think when this game first came out, I kind of had a little prediction where I said that, like, the games will go fast and the pushes will be very big. And we've seen so many knockouts because of, again, the way that these maps are geared. Certainly there in that last one you saw, it took them 5 seconds to get out of spawn. Yes, they're respawning quicker in this game, but when you have to swim that far forward to stop the push, it's that much more difficult. And again, I just keep going back to the way that final push started, where they dove a couple people, they maybe went to the spinner a little bit too early. And, you know, as we move here to tower control Makomar, we're loving tower control, and I guess if you've got a blaster player, you may have it.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes when the nerves start to pop out, I think tower control can be your undoing.
Yeah, perhaps so. I mean, you got to make sure that you're not getting ahead of yourself, right? That tower control only moves at a very set and slow pace. You got to make sure that you're working your way around that tower and making sure that you are prioritizing that objective, which, in fairness, we're able to see a decent bit of here. And I think to your point with that blaster, that big bubbler, right? I think if you're playing a weapon that has a big bubbler, I think, and one of the other things that I think we should also talk about here is that as I think this game develops, you're going to see many more players need to be flexible with their weapons. Potentially we'll see more, you know, as more weapon kits come out. But for the most part here, when we're talking about big bubbler, it's going to be good on zones. It's going to be good on, you know, maybe to an extent on clams, and it's going to be good on tower control. I feel like you're not going to get much out of it on Rainmaker, you know, and even still, sometimes on zones, it might not be the most effective. So, of course, tower control getting picked up here, and we're seeing what comes of this now. Players continuing with their comfort picks here.
Yep, we're at the point now in the set where we're going to see pretty much the same thing each time. The players have certainly gone with their counter picks. If there was anything special that they had, they certainly would have used it by now. Immediately, Leotos going to go over and try to push that right side. Garrett going to opt to go over. They are able to get one. Garrett going to try to get the follow-up here as Leotos moves forward as well. The Squiffer, an absolute menace on this particular map, but Ant menace everywhere.
And always a menace there, able to find that one from a long range. And these specials that are coming out of Catface just weren't able to get a lot of the members of Test 1 down. They'll be pushing forward, and now we're going to see another engagement happen again in mid, continuing these kind of neutral trades, continuing these specials going down, back, and forth. But it looks like potentially there's an opportunity here for Test 1. Train going to pop that big bubbler, trying to lock down that far flank side, but now he's going to get spotted out, and forced to back away. It's going to be the first checkpoint here cleared from Test 1, and they're continuing to storm forward here with Nyan popping out this ink back here as well, trying to select things out here. Is able to find that shot, just trying to close this gap, close around a lot of this area right now is Catface, and it looks like they've been successful in doing so.
And I want to point out there, you will eat Booyah Bomb with ink back there. I love that more members attacked and they tried to work around that way, and then that allowed them to throw the Booyah Bomb. All the same though, once they try to push back in, one step ahead at all steps is Test.
As one continuing to push here. They've already cleared past that first checkpoint. Now they're going to start getting it down rather quickly. Seth now on the tower here is going to get forced off. Garrett going to be able to find the trade, but Train's going to come up from the other side. Trades all across the map as now we see another Ant Trizuka able to find one. Now we see another one going down here as well here for this sloshing machine. Looks like Catface able to control their stuff here, but they still have to find a way to push this tower.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Ant's presence of mind there to know that it's just me against a couple of there. I think a lot of times in 2, you would see people jump out. Now, I think it's more beneficial to simply stay there, get one more person to make sure that the snowball can't get pushed against you as it is right now.
Here it is, that big bubble on top of the tower might be a perfect clear for this first checkpoint, and that's going to be a lot of the members here of Test 1 going down on individual fights. You see a plenty of purple ink get taken care of all across this map, and they're continuing to push this one on forward. What will the defensive resources be that are coming out of Test 1? They don't have a lot here, and they're going to lose the lead for it. It's going to be another 2 pushing forward. Citrus and Garrett continuing to get the job done. Now as they're starting to get split apart, it looks like Test 1 was able to find an opening here, mostly with their main weapons, and they'll be looking to try to paint back control of mid, but again, it's just still a scramble around this tower.
And that's what I think this game is going to end up being here. It's so important to get the full wipe. You said, like, in game 1, Kbot, you're like, wow, none of these teams are getting full wipe. And it's because, again, I think right now these teams feel it is more beneficial to stay and fight it out as opposed to giving up that much room.
And they are continuing to do that here. Inkback trying to take care of business here. Now it's going to delay that shot and able to throw that right on top of the tower. We'll see what else can come of this here as we're seeing Catface continue to push the tower. The jumps are continuing to come in here as well. And this game is just so much more faster paced. Those jumps coming in off the tactical are reminding me of the quick respawn stealth jump days of Splatoon 1, 9.
Don't remind me, please. But this is the big thing here. Keep an eye on Ant at the top of the screen here. This was the position that it was impossible to get him out of earlier, and that's a great position to use that from. Going to use the Booyah Bomb very early on. Specials all over the place. Garrett took a dive there to try to close it down. Instead, now Train is going to be in that position. And look at this. Suddenly, Leotos, the weapon best suited to deal with Ant, goes and attacks. One more is going to go down here. They need to go back to mid here. Citrus wants to keep fighting, is instead going to jump out here. They've got mid. They have the opportunity to build up to specials, and we have about 1 minute left on the clock.
Trades almost always going to benefit the team that is currently in the lead, and for now, that is Catface. They're looking to push this tower to continue to try to find some of these trades, and some of the specials are coming out of Test 1. You see the killer whales coming out all across the map, and it's going to be 2 down for Catface. But now, you're going to see them quickly come off the respawns here. That Booyah Bomb gets stuck down, and Catface still has a decent bit of control of mid. That Tacticooler is going to expire, which might allow this opportunity for Test 1 to start moving forward. And you see Ant here trying to find this one on Leotos. It's a 1v1 on this side for the star players on either roster, but Citrus is going to be able to come up here, able to find a little bit more of an opening. We see the big bubbler come out. 2 down for Test 1 here, and now it's just 1 alive. Catface is going to find another tower push here at the very end of this game.
A huge big bubbler to stabilize there in the middle, and now, once again, can they move Ant here? Both walls getting thrown in a cross formation. Interesting. And now look at this. They've opted to fight in Kbot. I think that might have been a little bit too heavy-handed. Look where Leotos is. Do they know Leotos is there? Yes, they do. Leotos going to jump out. Kbot, I can't believe it. We have another game coming down to the wire.
Another game coming down to the wire. You see Antlo already using that Trizuka. Already, that's another resource that they're not going to have at their disposal. Nyan on that far side has that ink back. Watch out for that. And the killer whales come out here as well with the Booyah Bomb right on top of the tower. But they took the lead? It looked like there was some kind of...
No, they definitely didn't take the lead off that. No, they did not take the lead.
Hang on.
I was going to say no.
There was something there, though. There was some text to pop up. I'm not crazy.
They took the tower.
They took the tower? Then what was the sound?
Them taking the tower.
That's not the sound that them taking the tower makes.
Not in Splatoon 2, it isn't.
Splatoon 3, you mean?
But I'll tell you something that is the same between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3. The GG Booyah Bomb,
GG
folks.
Booyah Bomb.
The more
It's
things
back.
change, the more they stay the same. But, I mean, hey, if you've got someone who can comfortably use that sloshing machine, why not keep going back to tower control? You know it's your win con. And I love how Ant actually started to pre-fire into that giant blast to say, hey, they're going to be diving on the tower. If I get all 3 of them here, we'll win the game. Yeah. And I mean, hey, why not?
Why not go for it? But now it's Catface. They're on tournament point. Of the first Splatoon 3 LAN within 24 hours of the game's release.
Barely 24 hours of the game's release.
Barely. I mean, hey, 23 hours? That's
not too shabby.
We didn't start till noon.
Not too shabby.
We had 12 hours. Not too shabby here at all. But back to comfort. Splat Zone's Inkblot Art Academy. You know these players, know this map inside and out for the most part.
Yeah, and this is, I'm glad that we're going back to Splat Zones here, which one, I never thought I'd say, but 2, Yeah, happy to be going back to Inkblot Splat zones.
That's
never in my
is.
life. But now we're going to get to see what the pushback in meta looks like when the lockout. We've been talking so much about how these teams are opting to leave somebody around even after a push is stopped, simply to see if you can get a trade. So if you can take some of the edge off of the opponent's push rather than simply jumping back, ceding all that ground, ceding all that turf for specials to come and attack you. That usually applies to modes that aren't splat zones.
Right.
So how the teams push back in, I think, is going to be so intriguing. We saw the last time the members of test1 said, we're just putting everybody on the left side, deal with it, see what we can do. Going to have to be a little bit, I would say, more versatile with it here, because usually the push doesn't come back in from left on this map.
There's the guitar riff, potentially the final game here tonight. Catface looking to steal it out in 6. Meanwhile, we've got test1 trying to send us to a game 7. Splat Zone's Inkblot, players coming out here, and we'll see very similar compositions, though Train back on the dualies here, really likes the crab tank for zones.
Yeah, and I think that the crab tank, if it's able to get top mid, has the potential to completely wipe the opposing team. But we'll see again if the lack of splash damage is going to come back to bite them here. Again, well, they still have a little splash damage. I shouldn't speak too soon. How's about it? That sloshing machine, a devastating weapon, saying, hey, my team, we already have the zone here. I'm going to throw it where you're trying to go. Let me hit you a couple more times. That's right. Get out of here.
Get out of here, and here we go. How is test1 going to find a way to push back in? You're starting to see some of the specials come out online here. Killer Whales already coming out. Tacticooler is at the ready here. Probably as soon as Ant gets out of this Trizuka, it's going to get thrown down. You see Test starting to move forward here, trying to build up a little bit more presence on that far side, but it looks like they're just trying to work together. They're trying to find a way back in with their main weapons, but Seth going down the front lines here. It looks like for right now, Catface is holding. Train going back in here with those dualies, trying to find this movement. These players are still trying to use their main weapons to come on back in here. They exhausted all their specials, but there it is. Finally, the wipeout comes together here at the very last moment off of a Trizuka.
And if any of those fights on the bottom of the screen had gone the other way, that might have been the game. test1 holding back just far enough to take out the members of Catface as they move forward. Now, how are they going to opt to go back through? They have the tactical. They're building up the specials. This is a very Splatoon 1-esque looking push. Look at how far back this tacticooler is used. We're going to start with the Booyah Bomb. Here's the crab tank for follow-up. Leotos trying to get some shots. Where is the attack coming from?
Where's the attack coming from? And right now, you see test1 so far back. They're willing to give away some of this zone here as long as it means that they can maintain their own lives. Now you see Seth starting to come on forward here, trying to catch on some of these members, but Garrett going down on top. You see a lot of these explosions coming out here as Seth starting to come on forward. You see Test is able to find that one on a Train as well. test1 has taken the lead. They've taken control of the zones, and they might be looking for the knockout here.
By now, Ant moving up here. Gonna have to get rid of him first, and you're gonna have to run straight at him there. Leotos does get the shot. Booyah Bomb's gonna go on zone. Will they be able to paint over it? Holding it on. Can Garrett get there? They cannot!
And we have a game 7. 23 hours into Splatoon 3's release. Strap in, folks.
Not scripted.
Not scripted. Not scripted at all. You might have been, disillusioned with those earlier sweeps in semifinals, but these two teams have come here to play. And you have to imagine, for what it's worth, you're probably going to see a lot of these players again later today as we get on into this one here. But yeah, it should be, we'll see. The other thing, though, we'll still have a counter pick at play.
Yep. It's going to be Catface's counter pick. They have gone tower control to, I think, tower control. So
something like that.
Clearly, they've got something that they like. They want to put Train back on that blaster. And, I think with the way that game ended up working, when it was more measured attacks, pushing back in at the right time, you got the sense that the members of test1 simply had a better hold on it right now. That might be a weapon choice. That might simply be because they have the charger, whereas Leotos is on the Squiffer, and that can sometimes make it a little better. But you saw essentially the same thing from both sides where they built up their specials and pushed in. The big difference is that the members of test1 able to survive. The members of Catface, not so much.
Not so much there. You hear the crowd starting to get a little bit excited. See those predictions coming in. Hope you're still feeling confident in those, because I think this one's going to come right down to the wire here. Still waiting on the counter pick. Looks like Popgun's come down, and that is going to get locked in here in just a little bit. Interested to see what exactly this is going to be. Interested to see what it's going to be for our final game of Splatoon 3 this weekend, 9.
I mean,
in a competitive setting.
In a competitive
Everyone's
setting.
going to go back to their hotel rooms and play like another 4 games at least before going to bed.
So we have Rainmaker on Mincemeat Metalworks.
Rainmaker this time around. This should be a fun one here. We saw Rainmaker be that much more impactful earlier. Give it up for Big Man, everybody. Big Man, Big Man, Big Man, Big Man, Big Man.
Hey!
Hey! Can we get an A for the crowd? One.
Hey!
Hey! There we go. Well done, everybody. We're all about having some fun here. Again, it all comes down to this. Rainmaker, Mincemeat Metalworks.
I mean, in a lot of respects, the same design philosophy that went behind Eeltail Alley is going to apply here as well. Now, there's different levels of grading at different lengths, and there's not as much natural cover on this map. Real question now is, if they're going Rainmaker, is Letos going to go back to the Splatana Wiper?
That's what I'm curious to see. I don't know. We might be in for a treat here, folks. And
I'm trying my hardest to peek over.
I want to see what the weapons are. Please let me know what the weapons are.
We don't have to wait long. Everybody, Game 7! Game 7!
Here we go.
I know we asked for your cheers already, but come on. Come on. Let's go. Game 7, everybody. Taking a look at the comps, much the same. And here we are. It is there. Game 7, a Splatana Wiper.
Splatana Wiper coming out. Now, the interesting thing about this composition, you might not think it has that much paint, but I think it's worth noting just how much that Splatana Wiper can actually do in terms of getting control of turf. But with these damage weapons, they're able to get this pop on the Rainmaker almost instantly, and they'll be starting to try to find a way to start moving forward and start building up for some of these specials. But there are just so few ways to actually break through mid.
Yeah, and worth noting here on this map in particular, they have basically nothing in regards to range specials. They are going to opt to go up and simply fight it out their best way through. Meanwhile, on the other side, not the case. Now, 2 are going to go down. Enough damage here, narrowly missing a shot is Neon, and now suddenly this is where the attack comes through. They have their tacticooler. The chip damage is up. They're going to opt to throw this, and certainly the Inkback going to be there as well. The natural counter to it. And suddenly this push looking a lot less intimidating.
Looking incredibly less intimidating now, and Papadis tries to get able to back that Rainmaker up into the corner and take it out. But it's worth noting here that Catface still has a decent control of it. Plenty of pink ink around, and now able to find one here is this Blaster. He's going to get taken out here on the far side, but these players are still just trying to find their footing. No one's actually gone back to try to pick up this Rainmaker here, and there's just so much more that is yet to happen.
Yeah, there were many, many opportunities to grab it and try to push there, but the Rainmaker is simply not in a great spot. They had to keep pushing forward. Now look at this. Garrett has to be careful on this left side. Where's this Booyah Bomb going to go? Where are you going to opt to throw it here? Well, not that way. You got to throw it somewhere else. Or will they sit up there and try to hold it the entire time? It does safely land. So they're going to throw it near the Rainmaker. No one taking the bait to fight this time. Now the splash damage coming in here. Lots of damage still alive. And pushing forward now is the end zap. Still too much chip damage. It's just Train left, and that's a wipe.
That is the wipe, and now they're going to be able to find the dunk here onto this pedestal. Will they be able to manage this as things happen? We'll see what actually comes out here. Now, Test, picking up this Rainmaker, but it's going to have to face around this choke point. This is one of the main choke points here on this map 9, and it's going to be very difficult to get it past that 49-point mark. Now the question is, what will Catface be able to do? They built up so much pink ink, and now they're going to be able to start moving forward with this Rainmaker.
And look at that. The Ultra Stamp actually got them way forward here, but now they're so separated. The members are just so far ahead, and I'm not even sure where this Rainmaker can go at this point. Citrus is going to jump back here just to try to defend it there, and I think maybe a little bit too disconnected. I understand why you try to push forward there to close the deal, but look at this. This is still a dangerous spot if the Rainmaker goes down, and it does.
That Rainmaker has to go either underneath the grading or over top of the grading. You do not have many resources at your disposal to get it past these natural choke points, even in mid. It is just that much more difficult, and now it's a 3-down situation for Catface. Test1 is going to build back up control of mid, and actually with this Rainmaker being on their advantage side of the map, they're going to be looking to storm forward here and potentially try to even extend their lead, taking it around this corner.
Again, we said no range specials, so everything that they do is going to have to be honest, moving up and forward and attacking. They clear it out, but there's still one member left. It is the Charger, and how will they handle it this time? How far will they go? They get them there, so that's going to be a little bit further from the ink vac, but again, they can't push too far forward. They're going to opt to try to jump this here, and now they've got it at the right time. Going to throw it at Ant here to try to displace them. The Rainmaker finally moving forward, positive points being scored, but have the members of Test 1 had enough time to build up their specials? That will determine how far this goes.
it looks like even the specials they were able to build up just weren't able to come out at the right time. Perhaps they went out a little bit too early, as now it's another challenge situation. Leotos trying to pop this hammer, trying to keep this Rainmaker alive, but it's going to get caught between the Rainmaker shield and the other members of Test 1. They're going to continue pushing this one on forward now with the tactical buff in tow. Splash Wall coming out, trying to provide a little bit more of that extra range as they look to work their way up towards this elbow. They're looking to try to turn the corner here and try to get some more points on the board, but now actually they're going over top of these grates. They're taking it a little bit of an alternative way. Perhaps Catface hasn't seen this quite yet. That Rainmaker is going to get taken out, and it looks like the map is going to be cleared out, at least for the most part here. Leotos might have to come up big, though.
Yep, look at this. I don't think they know Leotos is here. It's not going to matter there because the wall is going to be enough, and the walls on these gratings, you're starting to see what it looks like. A huge pick, and that's going to be onto Ant here. How do you opt to move forward? Yeah, we'll simply paint over here and try to do something else. Seth on the bottom half of the screen. Do they know that he's there? The fighting over here, the scramble situation, but again, the splash wall, so devastating. They were able to get two. You can hear the pop-ups coming off, but again, Ant able to hold on, but wait, now Ant is down. Can they get to the big bubbler in time? Are they going to try to? The sniper is going to take it. I agree with you, Kbot. I thought they might have been able to get to the big bubbler in time.
There was a world, but now it looks like they've been able to maintain the push for a little while. Train starting to move forward, but it's going to draw the fire of all four members of Test 1. Now 10 seconds left to go here. Catface is going to try to step on forward, but it's going to get picked off with a Splat bomb here. They don't have enough members around to try to take care of business. It's going to be a 2-down situation, 3-down situation. That Inkvac comes out and is going to be able to secure it, and that is going to be Test 1, your Splatoon 3 champions at Riptide.
Oh, and we said at the start, the splash walls on a map with a lot of choke points and not many long-range specials. That was what we continually came back to. Every time that a push had started, they pushed forward to try to take it as far as they possibly could, and they were met with the wall, they were met with range, and every time they finally did have their Booyah Bomb, it was the perfect spot for Nyan to set up and use that Inkvat, neutralize that Booyah Bomb in most scenarios.
Yeah, and actually impressive stuff coming all together here. Again, the very beginning of what this game is going to look like in a competitive setting. As you see these players start to, fist bump, talk over what just happened, what they were able to experience, and what they were able to be a part of. And you see the hugs coming out there on top of the stage as well. These players certainly gave it their all over the course the entire day today.
They really did, and it was a long day that they were competing for. And, to be able to adapt, find something that you like, and try to make it through with that, again, just shows the fortitude of these players already. They are excited about this new challenge, and they are ready to go.
All right, I believe we are getting set up for a little bit of an awards ceremony. But of course, folks, thank you all so much for tuning in, whether that be back in the VODs or whether that be live with us here. This has been quite a feat to put together. And of course, we'll be able to get that a little bit more and have that taken care of and talk a little bit more about how all of that came together. But for now, I believe we'll be handing it over momentarily to Popgun on stage, who is going to introduce the winners, the winning two teams here for Splatoon 3 at Riptide 2022.
Check, there we go. Squids and octolings of all ages, That was your grand finals of Splatoon 3 at Riptide. It's been a long day, filled with a lot of interesting issues. We appreciate all of you being patient with us, and we hope you enjoyed the first ever Splatoon 3 tournament. Let's hear it for our second place team, Catface. And now, your tournament champions, test1. Let's hear it one more time for our grand final teams for playing a fantastic set and starting off this game in the right way. Kbot and Nine, back to you.
Folks, hope you enjoyed the show today. There was so much to unpack. A lot of games played. I'm sure you've probably seen some of the clips going on Twitter from some of the folks that were attending the LAN today. And then, of course, seeing some of the action on stream throughout the day. So many people to thank for coming together here and putting this one on.
So many people to thank. And again, we've said you only get one first LAN. It's true, and that also comes with the trials and tribulations of it being the first LAN of a game, but there's nowhere to go but up from here. And again, with what we saw at PAX with the incredible set between Jackpot and Starburst, with what we've seen here now between test1 and Catface, two incredible sets between two evenly matched teams. I mean, already you can get the sense of the excitement of what this game is going to be. Everyone wants to come back. We keep seeing incredible back and forth sets, and I mean, it's going to be a fun journey.
It is going to be a real fun journey, and we are super glad that we have you all along for the ride. Stay tuned to Inkling Performance Labs. By the way, it's their staff that are doing a lot of the shot calling around here. Raze, Vincent, Krakenmare, all playing integral parts. Popgun, JPEG helping out for support. Sky as well. And then, some of the additional production support today being Devin from Level 1, Toasty coming in as well. So many people coming together on day one of this game's release to try to just make this wild thing work. I don't think anyone could have predicted that Splatoon 3 would have been released on September 9th a few whiles ago. But there's just a lot of people, a lot of energy, and a lot of passion that came together to put this event on.
Absolutely, and of course our wonderful spectator Ken Jeff as well, making that happen. Believe me when I say that if you think commentating Splatoon 3 is harder, spec camming for this game is even harder in relation. So thank you again for that portion of the production side. And, Kbot, it's been an honor doing this here as we try to figure this out. We'll be looking back at our performance and laughing on it too. But for those of you at home, don't forget Splatoon 2 will be tomorrow and Sunday. Lots of action there. That is the regularly scheduled tournament, so it'll be a little bit more of what you all are used to. But please continue to tune in for that as well. A lot of the same players that you saw today will be competing.
And one of the final send-offs, right, for Splatoon 2. We really mean it this time when we say the final send-off. I know everyone's been saying
if I hear one
final
more
send-off.
final Splatoon 2 tournament, I'm going to scream.
But, I mean, come on. This is really it,
I mean,
right?
if you hold the Splatoon 2 tournament after this, you're trying to make a statement. It's not
really?
even because
Yeah. But anyway, be sure that you're tuning in. Of course, action will start at 10 a.m. Eastern time, both Saturday and Sunday. So make sure that you are tuning in for those streams. We'll be live most of the day here on IPL for the next 2 days. So be sure you're tuning in. Put it on in the background while you're trying to play and figure out some of this game for yourself. Nine, you said it was a pleasure. Honestly, it's an honor to cast with you here as well, especially with the amount of time that you've spent around Splatoon 3 as of late. Coming together for this one was an absolute treat. But unless you have any final thoughts, I think that'll do it for us here for the night. One more. Hey, crowd, can we get an A? Hey! That'll do it, folks, from Sandusky, Ohio. Chaos is here, ushering in the new era for Splatoon 3. We'll catch you back tomorrow with some Splatoon 2. Stay fresh, and we'll see you all tomorrow.